Till the mid of October this year, climate researcher Dr. Gianluca Grimalda was studying the impact of climate change on the inhabitants of a tiny island tucked in the Pacific. Bougainville Island off the Papua New Guinea coast has remained almost untouched by the so-called modern world, but not so by its vices. Scores on the island were displaced by rising sea water. 6 months of research on that island made Dr. Grimalda's determination firm. He had vowed to never board a flight. So, when his bosses at the Kiel Institute for Worldwide Economy, Germany, asked him to return on short notice, Grimalda told them to wait. A reply which he claimed cost him his job. But the firm later clarified that it stood by slow travel. Writing in the Guardian's opinions section, Grimalda said the carbon that would be emitted by his one-way flight to Europe was more than what an average person living on the island uses in an entire year. But what is the aviation sector's share in the total travel emission globally? What about other modes? And what is travel emissions' share in total CO2 emission? According to a global pre-pandemic 2018 data, the latest year for which a reliable assessment is widely available, road travel accounted for about 75% of the world's transport emissions. It included both passenger and freight vehicles. Passenger vehicles accounted for the larger part of road travel emissions. And according to the International Energy Agency or IEA, road transport is responsible for 15% of the total carbon dioxide emission in the world. And aircraft are responsible for 2.5% of the total CO2 emissions. A study by the Inventory of US Greenhouse Gas Emissions and sinks during 1990 to 2021 suggests that transportation is the biggest anthropogenic emitter of greenhouse gases. In the US, transportation is responsible for 29% of the total emission from human activities, while the total electricity production emits 25% and the industry is responsible for 23%. Agriculture was responsible for 10% of the human-made greenhouse gas emissions during 1999 and 2021. But when the carbon emission per passenger per kilometer is considered, aircraft emits more CO2 in general, but this is dependent on several factors such as number of passengers and fuel type. A short-haul aircraft emits a minimum of 154 grams of carbon dioxide per passenger per kilometer. For a long-haul flight, this is 193 grams. But a car with only one passenger emits 171 grams of carbon dioxide per passenger per kilometer according to the UK standard. But if 4 people are traveling in the car, this comes down to 43 grams. A bus emits 97 grams of carbon dioxide per passenger per kilometer and trains 35 grams. For metro trains, this will be 28 grams. For a foot traveler on a ferry, the per passenger per kilometer CO2 emission is 19 grams.
One thing that we have to keep in mind is that currently in India, a lot of our generation, our electricity generation, still comes from coal and other fossil fuels. So if we do switch to an EV, when we end up charging our vehicles, it's still going to be requiring some coal to be burned, may it be a personal vehicle or a bus. There has to be two parts to it. One is electrification of the mode itself, and secondly, you also have to make the electricity sources green.
Experts also pointed to the importance of focusing on the public transport system.
We are doing that. We are investing a lot on building roads, bridges, and flyovers and expressways. But those are not giving us the benefits that is needed. For example, in case of goods transport, earlier our transportation of goods used to be 75% in trains. Trains were very efficient in transporting goods, but now the share is only 25%. So we are reversing the good trends without realizing the carbon implications of this.
So it is clear that road transport is the biggest emitter of carbon among the travel emission. Shifting from diesel and petrol powered vehicles to electric vehicles is a possible solution. But experts point out that the sources of electricity also should be green.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
She's working her way to the corner office. Business Standard.